Pascal. You are now rocking with that dude Pascal. We be going wild, Haitian in the building, so original. Got the haters catching feelings. Get your hands up to the ceiling and keep them held high. Cause St. Louis isn't ready. Forget about it, goodbye. Hold on, we just saying hi. Five somebody, rise up. Weekdays, catch us live. Somebody, let's go.
Good evening, good morning, and good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to the Pascal Show. I know you're like, wow, I'm getting him three times in one day. What the hell is going on? Well, there was a lot of stuff that went down this morning. There was a lot of stuff that just went down a little bit ago. We just talked about this whole situation over at Mall of America. It has been absolutely insane. And of course, you know, I had to hop on and chop it up with you guys about that. But we got some more information, something very big that we are going to be talking about here very shortly. This is absolutely insane. And it all revolves around Breonna Taylor. Yes. I mean, there's so much to say. I got so much to say about this. Man, do I got so much to say about this. But hey, we're going to chop it up. We are going to be talking about that very, very shortly. And we got a bunch of other small stories that we need to chop it up about and talk about. So we will be talking about that here within this hour. Like I said, we're going to be on for a solid hour because my guest, okay, this man is a busy man. That's all I'm going to say. He busy. Okay, he got things to do. So I am very honored to have my brother, Nate the lawyer, in the house. What's up, man?
What's going on? How you doing?
I am chilling. It is an honor to have you on here. Real talk. But before we get into the smiles and having a good old time with this beautiful face, with this man right here, do me a favor, guys. We got to go into the procedure. We got to do this. Okay, show my guests some love by hitting that like button. Send it past 100 likes really quick. I see a bunch of y'all starting to file in. Okay, and please do me a favor. Do not forget to crush that subscribe button. Destroy it. Make it scream out your damn name. Okay, we'd really appreciate it. Okay, and of course, I'll be giving Nate the Lawyer's channel a huge shout out, but I'll do right now too. Please go over to Nate the Lawyer's YouTube channel, hit that subscribe button over there as well. This man is extremely chock full of knowledge, and you definitely want to hear his thoughts about things that are going on in the world. Okay, so anyway, let's get into some things, shall we? Now we got to talk about this. Okay, there's some craziness that's going on. Obviously, there's some new news that happened this morning that I didn't get really a chance to tap into because I was knee deep in this article, this very salacious article about AH. There's some accusations out here. And of course, like I said, we are going to be going into our main event, our main topic, but we got a few small stories or smaller topics that I want to tap on. And of course, this isn't a small subject. The article was huge. The accusations were real when it comes to the accusations of a team, like a formation of teamwork between AH and Rocket Man. It was absolutely insane. And of course, I wanted to get your thoughts on this because on his channel, on Nate's channel, he also covers a lot of the AH trial. Yeah. Man is a lawyer, hence the if you didn't know. Okay, let me make sure that's up there right there. Nate the lawyer. Okay, so he has been covering the AHJD trial for quite some time, like me. And I gotta ask you, from this huge salacious situation, what are your thoughts on what went down with that article, man? What are your thoughts, real quick?
I don't know, because when something like that comes out that's so explosive, you got to really be sourced. Like, I got to see pictures. I have to see something more than just an online article. So my spider sense is tingling. So, maybe if this was NBC, CBS, not to say this, I don't want to get into the issue where I'm saying I just disbelieve it because of the source, but I'm just very skeptical of just something that pops up online that has salacious stuff, and it did have some pictures and stuff with it. But I'm just not. I'm not 100%. I like to read it. It's an interesting story, but I just need more to verify it, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, no, and I get that. I fully get that. I'm with you 100%. And that's exactly what I said when I read the article. I was like, yo, this is crazy. This is some wild ish. These accusations are crazy. But right now, this is all basically hearsay. These are just allegations. You could literally chalk this up as if this is fan fiction.
Yeah.
Because right now you're just saying a person named Gia or an ex-friend of this, that, and the third, or a friend of a friend or an ex-girlfriend or whatever. You don't actually have somebody saying verbatim, my name is Michael Schmidt and I was there and I was right there, third person from the left in the pool, that photo of the pool, with all the plastic white balls, having a grand time. And this is what I saw with my own two eyes. It is one of those things where you're like, man, if only they had solid this reporter actually had solid evidence, maybe it would be a different story.
I'm assuming she talked to some people, and when you talk to people, people tell you things, and you talk to enough people, they start telling you kind of a similar story, and you kind of stitch together, and then you have something. But I don't know. For me to be convinced, I just need something more than just these tawdries of coincidences. But I do think, though, it's a very interesting story, and there's enough in there where I'd say it should definitely be investigated a little further, because it's. I don't want to get demonetized, but it's that guy, the guy who didn't make it out of jail.
Right. Okay.
The allegations.
Right. Now, I'm wondering, within this, could there be grounds for an actual legal investigation? Because these are all allegations. There's some conversations about people who are not of age that were involved. Mm-hmm. Certain things. There were things that were ingested. There were acts, certain unsavory acts that were done with people apparently against their will, so on and so forth. Could this be grounds for someone to actually press charges? Could they just take this article and go, we're just going to investigate this situation legally?
Well, the police can investigate pretty much anything, right? They have that ability within their jurisdiction. So first you'd have to find out where these events happening at. That's a jurisdictional issue, right? If some of these are in foreign countries, then you'd have to kind of start there. And what's their procedures in reporting these type of things? And then that also brings standard evidence, because now you're talking about foreign jurisdictions. One jurisdiction may say, yes, this is enough, while another one says, well, we need more, and so forth and so forth. So with that, it's interesting, because here in the United States, to make it like an arrest or something like that, you need probable cause. That's generally the standard. But when you're trying to investigate something, you definitely need somebody, a complainant, somebody saying this happened to me. And if somebody says this happened to me, or we know this is happening to this person, then you got something. But just kind of a nebulous, I think something may be happening, and here's some, it's enough to maybe try to look into, but I don't think it's enough to put handcuffs on anybody or anything like that.
Okay. Because that's for me one of the biggest questions, right? Because after reading this whole thing, we read it. Mm-hmm. We read not the whole thing. There's some behind a paywall, but the sample, right, that came out was a big sample, and it was salacious enough for people to go, what in the hell? Scratch my head and shake my damn head. Wow, this is crazy. But in my mind, I look at it and I'm like, man, if only some of these people who they say were not of age, that were involved in these specific acts, if only those people could step forward, then maybe maybe they could bury AH and Rocket Man, possibly,
But again, that's assuming they even exist, right?
Right.
Because I'll say the internet's fooled people before. That's assuming they exist, because again, they may not even exist.
Right. Now, and you're right. You're absolutely right. This could very well be, like I've said before, this could very well be just fan fiction, for crying out loud. It could be anything. This could be a start of a really, really good book, or the start of a really, really good synopsis for a movie, right?
Yeah.
So who knows? But I wonder if they would actually step forward. It would be very interesting to see what happens with the situation, you
Oh
know,
yeah.
because there's a lot of incriminating information there that almost like they were their own JE and GM, if you know what I'm saying,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
That
Yeah.
maybe she went in and recruited girls allegedly, so on and so forth. Like it was another ring of ridiculousness. So
And that's the reason why I want to be careful with something like that, because
right.
it's difficult being in this line of work to get something tawdry like that and then put it out, and it stains people. And I really just would feel more comfortable if there was just more to even make those allegations, because to be honest, because and it's wild, because Amber's the type of person where I can actually see this being true. I can like, she's the type of person where I can see doing this,
Right.
but that doesn't mean that she is doing this or she has doing this. So that's where I think my own personal bias is coming, where I'm like, this is somebody who I definitely know would do something like this. But does that mean she is doing it? No, that's just not enough.
Yeah, no, you're right. You ain't wrong with that. You definitely are not wrong with that for sure. And and you may be. That's the thing. It's like, okay, this could very well be really good fan fiction, and we don't know what is the truth. And I'm not saying that the girls' resources weren't reliable or weren't solid enough, but it would have really brought this thing home if they actually said, I'm such and such, or one of them was called herself Gia. If only she was like, yeah, I'm, you know what I mean, I'm Cindy Crawford, whatever the hell it is, you know what I mean, and just get out the way. What are you gonna say?
But I do want to also make note that it's kind of this counterbalance too, because on the other side, I can also see the situation where you do have these victims who are in those situations who can't come forward. You're talking about powerful men in powerful positions with security guards and money, and all that type of stuff. It's not easy to come forward in a situation where you may be, well, like them. Some of them had moved away from home and those types of things. So so it's even harder. And then who do you go to come forward? How do you tell your story? One of those girls in those pictures, how do you know that she doesn't have even worse stuff that they can't make her come forward? So coming forward, I think it's a very brave thing to do, and it's a lot harder than I think. I think today it's become easier in the Me Too era, but generally it's still a very monumental thing to do, and especially with the very privileged and power and crowd like this. We're talking about some people with a lot of money and a lot of influence.
Yeah, you're right. You're absolutely right. You got a lot of dangerous people with deep pockets, and that makes them even more dangerous because they can just pay whatever and pay off somebody and just have that situation just disappear quietly in the night. So you never ever know. And it's true. These speakeasy parties, they're speakeasy parties for a reason, right?
Yes.
Speakeasy parties for a reason. Now we got to go over to this next subject. Like I said, we are going to get to our main topic. I promise you that. But I wanted to tap in on this particular story here really quick because this broke today as well. Brittany Griner. Okay.
Yes, 9 years. Oh
WNBA star Brittany Griner has been sentenced to 9 years in Russian jail for smuggling. I'm just going to say it like that, which is absolutely crazy to me. So we already know Brittany Griner has been convicted of deliberately smuggling, the opposite of hugs, okay, into Russia, and has been sentenced to 9 years of jail time Thursday in a case that has raised concerns she's being used as a political pawn in Russia's war against the Ukrainians. Okay, so they have the court delivered the sentence and also fined Griner $1 million rubles, I'm sorry, or about $16,400. She said the court took into account Griner's partial admission of guilt. I feel like she said, I take full anyway, remorse for the deed, state of health and charitable activities. Prosecutors had asked that she be sentenced to 9.5 years in jail. They wanted to add more to her time, and the judge only sentenced her. The judge knocked off half a year Real talk, half a
I
year.
mean, give her 9 years. Give her 9 years in the gulag.
Why do the extra 6 months? Let's just take off
Wow.
this extra 5. Okay, let's just do the 9. Straight 9 years. That makes no sense to me, y'all. Now, I know there are people who feel some type of way about this particular story. Okay. And I've seen some people put out surveys and little polls here and there thinking that, oh, did she mess up? Or was she at the wrong place at the wrong time? Or were they too hard on her? So on and so forth. In my personal opinion, I think it's everything all at the same time. I think she made a very bad mistake. I think the judicial system in Russia was too hard on her. Absolutely. 9 years is way too long. For vape cartridges? Come on. Okay.
Yeah.
But she should have gotten slapped on the wrist for what she had done. Period. But let's keep it real, though. Let's keep it real. If you're going to fly across the country, across overseas, if you're going to fly overseas, don't have any drugs on you.
That would make sense. That would make sense.
Right?
Oh my God.
Yeah, wouldn't it?
Was she flying in or was she flying out?
So from my understanding, she was traveling in Russia. Like she was traveling in states, if that makes any sense.
Okay.
So it wasn't like she was flying into America and then they were going through customs or something like that, and they found her there. Apparently she was already there and she had these vapes on her. So I don't get it. You could easily get a hookup. Okay, she got hookups and she obviously has friends down there. I'm sure she got a plug somewhere, so she got some vape cartridges with some THC. But then you're traveling with these things. You're risking it. You're putting yourself in risk of getting into some serious trouble. Period. So I'm sorry. That is the part that I lean on. As far as her getting sentenced, as long as she did, that I don't think is justified.
Yeah.
But then again, I do not live in Russia. Thank you, Jesus. I don't live in Russia. And nor would I be traveling with said stuff on me in a volatile country like Russia. But what are your thoughts on this, Nate?
I can't agree more. I just feel bad because this is somebody who's got a great WNBA career,
Yes.
and it's sad because a lot of those WNBA players have to go over to Russia and have to go over to Europe to make their real coin because the WNBA doesn't pay that much. But, unfortunately, they got to do more to get that league up to be like, to what the NBA is. Some people are saying things like maybe lower the rim to 9 feet, but then they feel disrespected when you say that because they're, so it's there's a whole bunch of issues with the WNBA. But moving forward, I think you're right. I think 9 years is too much. But that's under our standard. You know what I mean? Like there are crimes that we find serious that they probably find to be nothing, right? They're like, right. What are they doing this? And reverse. And maybe this is just one of those things. So I like to say this. If you're going, just do as they say do in Rome. Now, she had to know that she got weed on her. That wasn't legal, right? You just know that, right? It's inherently, I know I got this. Why are you going to an airport with it? Why are you going to an airport with it? I just don't know. That makes no sense to me, right? You got to at least have the do dirt, have somebody on the crew. Yo, here, comrade, bring these on the plane. They're yours until we get on the plane.
Right.
You Brittany can't be holding stuff. She's the one that's making all the money.
Exactly. Yeah. She's the star. So it's like, why would you do that? Or you toss the damn things away and then you call up your plug and say, hey, I need that hookup again. I had to throw it away before I traveled. That's it.
Yeah.
I mean, shoot, but you know,
mail them or something.
mail them. So, yeah, exactly. Mail them or something. I don't know the laws out there in Russia. I don't know if they dig through
Not
the mail or something like that. But
I wouldn't mail them because you just get in trouble. I'm just joking, but I'm saying she got them so she can get them someplace else now.
I'm just saying it just doesn't make any sense. But it's the cartridges and all that. And I say this. Yes, she made a mistake. Okay, she definitely screwed up. She screwed the pooch. All right, she did a bad thing. But does she deserve 9 years? No. Abso-freaking-lutely not. Okay, I do not agree with this at all. And I hope that, because even, Mr. Joe Biden, President Joe Biden, has stepped up and said, this is unacceptable, that this is too much. Why
prisoner
not?
Swap.
Say again, what? Say again?
They want a prisoner swap.
They want to do a prisoner swap for sure.
Yeah, prisoner swap.
We'll see what happens, right? Because it looks like they're trying to swap two for one, I think, if I'm correct. Because there is somebody else in Russia that's still in the Russian prisons right now that they're trying to say, hey, you get Griner and you get this journalist, if I'm correct. You get them both, and we'll trade for that one guy. That's allegedly what's going on. But 9 years, again, 9 years is way, 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 way too much.
That shows you geopolitics, though, right there, right?
Yep.
Right. Yep. That shows you the whole geopolitics.
Yeah.
Literally trading lives.
Yep.
Literally trading lives.
Well, I really do hope. Even said it right here. Even it says right here, prior to the verdict, she of course apologized to the court, and she begged for leniency in an emotional speech. She said, "I never meant to hurt anybody. I never meant to put in jeopardy the Russian population. I never meant to break any laws here. I made an honest mistake, and I hope that in your ruling that it doesn't end my life here."
But what was the mistake, though? All right, so I want to ask though. Was it a mistake? Could it really have been a mistake? She knew she had that on her, right?
Well, okay.
What's the story? Did she just did somebody smuggle it to him? Like, oh my God, somebody threw this in there. Got caught with it. Like she knew she had that.
But wait a second. Think about it though, because they're just cartridges. Okay, right. They didn't say that she actually had the vape pen thing with her. So they were just cartridges. What are the chances of her, being in wherever she was? She got the plug, she got the thing, she just throws them in a bag, doesn't even think about it, right? She's like, whatever, I'm going to keep it moving, so on and so forth. We got to play both sides of the fence, right? So yeah. What if she just forgot that they were in her bag? She knows she got them, but then, as she's traveling, she's flying, she's doing her thing, she just forgets, straight up, plumb forgets. That could be one option. The other option is she knew exactly what was going on in her bag. She knew exactly that she had those vape cartridges in her bag, and she probably in her head maybe thought she was going to say, "Oh no, that I could just say that that's just straight tobacco."
Listen,
it's tobacco. It's just oils. It's just oil.
Let me tell you. Let me tell you kind of how I feel it went. I feel she was probably chilling out. She was like, "Yo, where we going?" She's like, "Oh, we ain't got a spot to get the stuff out there. You know what? Let me throw 6 of these in the bag. Don't worry, sister." They're like, "Oh, we're going to the airport. I do this all the time, girl. I ain't never got caught once. Trust me.
Don't worry.
Watch me go through the watch it. Watch me do it. Watch it. Then next thing you know, she go there. Woo, 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 woo. This is my first time.
What's going on? What happened?
Poor Brittany got caught up.
You know what I mean? What the hell?
This wasn't her first time bringing the cartridges through the airport, right?
Hey, but we do have to play both sides. You know what I mean? We gotta play fortunately and unfortunately on other occasions, we have to play both sides of the fence because you never know. She could have just plumb forgot. You never know. It could have been one of the causes of constant use of THC is short-term memory becomes a little skittish.
True.
Maybe you just straight up forgot. You know what I'm saying? She uses it to relax, right? And so she just forgot it was in her bag, or she just straight up said exactly what you said. Girl, we good.
We got
nothing to worry
no,
about, girl. Shoot. The last
but
time, this has never happened to me. You know what I
but
mean? That could
but
be
I but I do want to say this though. The 9 years is absolutely, obscene for something like this. And it's sad that there's still societies that treat people who are addicted to drugs, or even if they believe this is so bad, they'll jail them and remove them, except, rather than getting them help. So,
Right.
it is what it is.
Yeah, I mean, it is what it is. I really do hope at the end of the day, I hope that they find a way to reduce the sentence, or they get her home. Period.
Yeah.
Get her ass home.
I think that's the number one thing.
And if she has to do her time here, it'll be a drastically smaller time sentence that she's going to get, if that's the case. I just hope that maybe the American government, will look at this and say, you deserve, shoot, that Russian jail was enough. Go ahead. Keep playing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Enjoy yourself. Play ball. Bye-bye.
Well, to be honest with you, she shouldn't gotten a day in jail for this. Throw the stuff away. Go give her a fine, something like that. It's a shame, and hopefully she'll get out soon. Hopefully they'll do this prisoner swap, but it's honestly a sad story, because it should be legal. It's ridiculous that it's being treated so harshly. So.
Yeah. You know what I mean? Yeah, I totally agree on it 110%. Well, now we got to jump into our main topic of the day. I figured we could dabble into those, because those are kind of quick ones and all that. And I know a lot of y'all have been asking me to talk about the one about Brittany Griner. So I'm happy I was able to bounce this off of my brother Nate, the lawyer. Again, I will say it now, but I'm going to say it again later too. Please go and hit that subscribe button on his YouTube channel. This dude is amazing. He's got a lot of insight. Yeah, you just got to go over to his channel and hit that subscribe button. I'll be showing it to you guys here in just a little bit. But we got to get into our main topic. And this one is this is huge. In my personal opinion, this is huge. Yeah. For everybody out here in the nosebleed seats too, because I remember when I covered this story, dag nabbit, and there were so many people that were so passionately angry about this, about saying, oh, she was doing this, that, and the third, and you know what I mean? Carry the one divisible by two, blah, 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 trying to make every excuse under the sun about this woman who died in a ray of bullets, unarmed, in her own home. Breonna Taylor. And I know that there's a lot of people that have opposing views on this situation, but this will open your damn eyes. Let's take a look at this article right here. Blam. 4 officers has been charged in connection with Breonna Taylor's death, met in a garage, and agreed to tell investigators a quote-unquote false story. Now, just months after the fatal shooting of Breonna Taylor, 2 Louisville police detectives met in a parking garage and agreed to mislead investigators examining the botched raid that resulted in her death. This is according to what the Justice Department alleged today. Okay? Now, at a press conference, the Justice Department charged 4 current and former Louisville police officers in connection with Taylor's death. Garland, who happens to be the attorney general, said the charges include allegations that Louisville police falsified an affidavit used to obtain a search warrant for Taylor's home in violation of civil rights laws. Hello. Okay. This is not good. All right. Those violations resulted. This is apparently from the attorney general. Garland said those violations resulted in Miss Taylor's death. Follow the bouncing ball. Okay. Resulted in this young woman's death. Breonna Taylor should be alive today, he said. Okay. So the 2 of those officers, all right, Joshua James and Detective Kelly Goodlett, met in the garage as investigators were probing Taylor's death and agreed to tell a false story, Garland said. The charges come more than 2 years after March 2020 shooting of Taylor, a 26-year-old emergency medical technician who was asleep with her boyfriend when Louisville police officers forced their way into her apartment. Her boyfriend, believing the officers were intruders, shot at them. 2 officers responded by firing 22 shots into the apartment, Garland said. One of those shots hit Miss Taylor in the chest and killed her, he said. Obviously, this story is still developing, but I just want to put it out. 4 officers have been charged because they were trying to falsify this story of how things went down with Breonna Taylor. Nate, come on, man, speak on it, because I know you covered this on your show, and I'd love to hear your thoughts about this. Yeah. So let her rip.
Yeah, so 2 things with the Breonna Taylor, the indictment. So for those of you who remember, there were 4 officers who went into the apartment. So out of those 4 officers, only one of them have been charged today, and that was the guy who shot blindly. And I think everybody can agree. The officer who was outside shooting blindly into the apartment, not knowing who he was shooting at, he should have definitely been convicted. He was found not guilty, but I believed he would be convicted, because you just don't shoot blindly into someone's apartment and claim you're trying to protect your guys. As a matter of fact, he was actually shooting toward the other police. So that guy, they charged him with a civil rights violation, and essentially it's what they call a use of force violation. They're saying he used unreasonable force in violation of her constitutional rights. The other officers who were charged were not actually involved in the raid. They were involved in the paperwork to get the initial warrant. So in the paperwork to get the initial warrant, when you read through the indictment, they talk about 3 instances in which they needed to verify that Jamarcus Glover, who was Breonna Taylor's boyfriend, was also getting packages from her apartment. So when they were in terms of surveillance, so they saw him, they had surveillance of him going to her apartment and coming out and doing whatever. But that alone is not enough. Like, if I go to your apartment, I can go to your apartment and pick something up and go and leave. That doesn't mean that apartment is involved in any criminal activity, right? Go ahead.
No, when you say packages, were they just like an iPad? You know what I mean? Like, is it just you don't
know? You just don't. It could be anything. It could be anything. I think I can bring up the pictures, but they were like, there's like pictures of him with going into the apartment and coming out with a package. But that's but that alone, if you can get a warrant based on that, then you get a warrant from anybody. I get a warrant coming in and out of my own house, right? I leave packages all the time. So that wasn't. So they said, well, that wasn't enough. What else do you got? So what they said was that they had verified with the postal inspector that the boyfriend was getting packages at Breonna Taylor's apartment. That was a lie. They didn't verify with supposedly the postal inspector. They just straight up lied about that, and that's where you get the falsifying documents, because they falsified, and then there was some other stuff, and then with this meet and everything, then when it came out that this postal inspector was like, yo, I never said that. Then they tried to backtrack and was like, yo, we now need to fix this. How are we going to fix this? Because we didn't have enough for the warrant. And that's what the Justice Department was like. Well, now when I asked these guys what happened, you guys didn't have enough for the initial warrant. So if that's true, if you didn't have enough for the initial warrant, because they thought the theory was Breonna Taylor's house was the stash house for 3 other trap houses that they had successfully raided that night. There was 3 other trap houses they successfully raided that night, and this was supposed to be the stash house where they keep all the drugs and cash. And that was the disconnect, is that they actually didn't have enough proof that if this was a stash house or not. That proof that they used was allegedly fabricated by these officers.
So they just made a whole bunch of ish up so that they can raid this young woman's house. So they had nothing factual. They had nothing solid enough for them to actually go and raid Breonna Taylor's home. Am I hearing correctly?
That's essentially what the government is alleging. Like for instance, another example is that they allegedly they omitted some information. So like for instance, in my original video, what I do is I go over the legal documents, and when you go over the legal documents, there's a part in there that talks about now I'm forgetting. I'm losing my train of thought. There's a I've lost the my I lost my train of thought.
Well,
There's a
go ahead. Go ahead.
what did I say just before? What was I saying just before that?
Well, I asked you if there was, like, they just made this up, right? That, and then you said this is what the FBI is.
Yes, I'm sorry. Yes,
alleging, right?
I remember what I was going to say. There was the government was alleging that they had left out information too. That information was suppressed. Information that would have called into question the validity of whether this warrant should be issued. And one of those pieces is that Jamarcus Glover was Breonna Taylor's boyfriend. And on top of that, he used her address as his permanent address. But since the cops had him under surveillance, they knew for a fact he didn't live at Breonna Taylor's home. Okay. So when they filled out the warrant, and they're like, "Yo, he lives here with her." Right. That was a lie, because they knew that he couldn't have lived there, because they were surveilling him and they know that he didn't live there. He was just going there sometime to say hello and to pick up the packages which he had, but that's not enough for a search warrant. So that lie of leaving things out that will make the judge say, well, if he doesn't really live there, then you got nothing. And leaving out the fact that, hey, he's not really getting packages because the postal inspectors didn't say he got packages. That wouldn't have gotten you the warrant. She would still be alive today, because without that warrant, you don't have that raid.
There you go.
I'm sorry. I feel like it was so long-winded.
No. You good, baby. You good. It's interesting. So then what? Okay. I got a lot of questions, but one of the main questions I have in my head is, what does this mean going forward, right? With the family. I know the family.
Well, the family's already been paid.
I know the family got paid.
Yeah, the family already got paid.
They got millions and millions of dollars, but at the same time, they can't. I mean, there's no type of charge or lawsuit that they can throw on these on I don't know, on the police department or on these four individuals.
Well, I'm assuming it. Now, when they maybe they can sue them personally, but a lot of times when you settle with the city, you indemnify everybody who works for the city. You're done with that. So usually that closes all that out. Unless sometimes they'll have some trigger clauses where if something is like if something where they found out something willfully happened or something like that. But 99.9% of the time, there's no way out, and I don't think there's no way for them to get out. But the criminal charges are what they are. I do think. The issue, the Hankerson one, I think is going to be their hardest one to win, because Hankerson was already charged and he went to trial on essentially the same thing before and won. So essentially you're going for a second bite at the apple with him. These other ones, I think it's a paperwork issue, right? Your paperwork wasn't tight. We got you talking about fixing it up. We got you talking about it not being tight. And now we know why, that the documents are messed up. So I think there's a little justice here, where if you are going to do these type of warrants, you can't violate people's rights, and you can't lie or to receive warrants. I think there's some accountability for the police there. And I think if the government's alleging is true, then yes, these officers should be held responsible for the for their actions, because the officers that went into that apartment, the ones that got shot at and the ones that shot back, didn't know any of this. This was all before that, and they believe they were legally authorized to do what they were doing. And right now it seems like that even if the warrant was bad, they would still be authorized. But it seems like it was all based on lies and shoddy work.
But I keep wondering. Well, real quick, Melissa Harden, thank you so much for becoming a member. Thank you so much. I didn't see that until just recently, so thank you, or until just now. So thank you so much for your support. And I got a super chat here I'm going to get to here in a second. But I guess the main question is, how did they find out? How did the FBI or anyone find out about these 4 officers, or at least these 2 officers that got down into a garage and said, all right, here's the lowdown. This is what we're going to say so we can cover our tracks. How did they find out? Do you happen to know at all?
I don't know. They didn't because they usually don't show methods in this, but they have it here. Hold on, I'll show you.
Sure.
I have the complaint. I'll share my screen.
Okay.
But I have here is the all right. So matter of fact, I'll share this first screen so people can see where I'm getting it from. All right, so for those of you, whenever you have a federal case, especially something from the Department of Justice, they put, if you go to the Department of Justice website, they'll put both the complaint and all the relevant information for the public to know here, so you don't have to go to any secondary sources. And the reason why is because whatever you read, whatever the people say about the documents, it's never really gives you the same view as if you just read it cold for yourself.
Mm-hmm.
So this is where I go. I would say don't even read this garbage that they put out a lot of times. On the bottom, you'll see they have the indictments. So these are all the legal documents that they actually had to file in court. And we'll just click on it. So Brent Hankerson, which is the first guy. Hold on. Let me move this. To the screen that you guys are seeing. So this is his indictment. August 3rd. And his indictment is essentially based on him shooting blindly into the apartment. So
right.
It's a very small, it's like 3 pages. It's like it's a 4-page indictment. And it's just here, it was officers' unjustified use of force shocked the conscience. So they're saying because of his 10 shots into there, it was unreasonable use of force, and that's it. So that's weird, and that's why it's not. So that's his indictment. So that's the first cop. So remember when I told you it was only one cop who went into it was only one of the cops who were actually at the scene. All the rest of these cops were with the paperwork. And this is the one for the paperwork, guys. Talking about the indictment. Now, this is the indictments for the warrants. This is for Joshua James and Kyle Mealy. And when you look at the counts, here's count 1, deprivation of rights. This is lying to get the warrant. So right. if I'm lying to get the warrant, then I'm depriving you of your rights through deception, right? I'm lying to the court to get a search warrant. Count 2 is conspiracy. We came up with a plan to lie to do this, and then we came about a plan to knowingly falsify documents with the intent to impede or obstruct the influence of an investigation. So this is them coming to the agreement, because the conspiracy is coming to the agreement, and this is where you get the talking into the at the car and all this other stuff. Right. So they have it all here. They have it all here. What they're charging them with, and essentially what they're saying is that these officers omitted vital information to the judge, which they believe that would have influenced the judge enough where the judge said, I wouldn't have signed this warrant. Number one, that Jamarcus Glover did not live at this apartment. He is actually, he's listed as JG in this indictment, but that's Jamarcus Glover. I'm her boyfriend. And the second thing that this indictment also makes clear is that these officers did not verify at all whether Jamarcus Glover was getting packages from Breonna Taylor's apartment, which was the crux of the warrant and the crux of the use of force, of them raiding that apartment. And without that information, then she would still be alive. So that's why these cops are looking at years in prison for violating her constitutional rights.
That's unbelievable. I mean, because even so, let's be real. Even so, and thank you so much for breaking that down for us. Real talk, Nate. But even if the house was a trap house, even if it was, they are still going to be charged for violating her civil rights.
Yes.
No matter what. So
yes, even if it was.
Even if there was, he went in there, he was picking up pounds of snow. Okay, you get what I'm saying? Packages chock full of booger sugar. Doesn't even matter. Doesn't even matter now because they cut corners. They didn't cross their T's and dot their lowercase J's, y'all, and that's why this is happening right now. So even so, I know everybody and their mama wants to assume that, oh, she was running a trap house and she was doing this. She's all about the streets and all that stuff.
But even if you assume it's irrelevant because because they didn't have probable cause for the initial warrant.
Exactly.
And it's interesting because the Kentucky AG believed they had probable cause for the warrant. So so one interesting thing about that is that you could have jurisdictions disagree on what enough probable cause for the warrant is, because what you would do, the analysis that you would do legally is say, okay, because if you're charging her with these civil rights violations in connection with her death, the analysis is, if you remove the tainted stuff, do you still have enough for the warrant, right? So let's remove them telling the judge DeMarcus Glover doesn't live there. Let's remove that from the equation, right? What do we have? Well, we only have these pictures of him picking up the package, coming in and out, and really we've have him driving there maybe once or twice. Is that enough on its own to get a search warrant? Obviously not. But now let's put it back together with everything else. Well, now we got a postal inspector who says he gets packages there. Now we got him living there with the girlfriend. If you add those two things, which we know are false, to the fact that he's going in and out getting packages, that makes it enough to get the search warrant. And that's why they're saying these cops are going to be charged.
Man. Well, I mean, I'll be real. Obviously I have, everybody has their opposing views about that incident that happened, the shooting and what happened to her and all that stuff. And, of course, whatever side of the fence you are on, that's basically what I'm trying to point out, is that doesn't matter what side of the fence you are on. The fact that they decided to cut corners and not do their job by filling out paperwork, making the things right, and saying things that were truthfully happening. This woman, if they had done those things, this woman would probably still be alive to this day. They're getting hit and charged because they lied. Then on top of that, let's not forget the other part that we just said in the very beginning. Two of the officers met up and tried to come up, fabricate a false report, tried to lie. Like I said, everybody's been fighting tooth and nail. Seriously, you see the Brandon Tatums on one side, what I'm saying? And then you see the other people on the other side, like myself, who think it was not justified at all. Now this confirms it even more. Was not justified before they even pulled up to that woman's home. It was not justified way before that. And then even after that, they still were unjustified by getting together and trying to fabricate a false story. Let's get our stories correct before we go in, because we don't want to get in trouble. We don't want this woman's life, this death on our hands.
Look,
well, now they're about to get it. Go ahead, Nate.
Look, because I think both are true at the same time. Because you did have, it's kind of like, and it's because I'm former law enforcement. So it's kind of like you got one, and you rely on teams of people to do things. So, all right. So just to let everybody know, so you have like an investigatory team, and that investigatory team is the people who do all the paperwork. So you rely on them to again get the search warrants, do all the background investigations, talk to the judges and the DAs, all that stuff. That's your investigatory team. But then you got to have a tactical team, right? And that tactical team are the people who go into the houses, who are trained in that type of in doing that type of work. So in this case, you had this investigatory team which did all these bad things, which lied on official court documents, which made stuff up, which just totally dropped the ball and made this huge mess. And because they did such a bad job, it led to this tactical team who didn't know any of this stuff, And again, the experience with the tactical team is that they had also conducted 3 other raids that night, not the same tactical team, but the department, and everything went okay. So this was like their 4th raid. So there wasn't really any reason why they should have known this other group of officers had messed this up. Now, the one that was outside shooting crazy into the house and could have killed people, he should definitely go to jail. I've been saying that for the thing. You can't just do that.
You can't just do that.
But I do think these officers who lied and did all that stuff on that warrant, they got a big problem. They got a huge problem, and they probably somebody died because of they're not only incompetent, their alleged criminal activity. But I will say this: the cops who were at the door, I do feel more sympathy on because there is no way that they would have known all that stuff was going on behind them. You know what I mean? If they did, if you could show me they did, then that's a different issue. But they didn't know, and even Garland even said they didn't know. So they essentially fooled them too. They fooled those same cops at the door too.
I mean,
to say that they were good,
Right. They're getting pointed in a direction. You know what I'm saying? Like you got these ravenous dogs ready to they're suited and booted, ready to pounce, ready for action. And they're going, where's the action? It's over there. That's it. Point in that direction and all things go down. Obviously, the way things went down was not favorable at all, period. No. But I do understand what you mean by like, hey, these are guys, there's certain departments, there's certain guys that are here for the grunt work. Some people did the paperwork, some people did this, that, and the third, and there's guys above that telling them yes or no. And these guys were pointed at that house. They went straight over there, and all this went down. But what happened behind the scenes, these guys did not know. And I get that part. It's just sad that this all went down all because of these officers falsifying affidavits, lying, getting together, corroborating their stories. That shows a lot about that particular department, because to me, it seems like that's not something that you just make up on your own. It sounds like something that you learn. And that could also be a thing, right? That's
a good point.
You know what I mean? They talk about bad apples. And
that's a good point.
It takes one bad apple to ruin a whole bunch. And that could very well be what it is. I'm just saying it. I'm calling it like it is, okay? But Infinite Content, thank you so much for the $5 super chat. Remember when Kentucky AG, Daniel Cameron, declined to prosecute the cops? Well, he's looking hella bad right now. Absolutely. And I do want to say this too. I commend the AG, the Garland, for taking the time to sit there and look into this, because he could have just said, "This is an old case. This is 2 years old. Why are we talking about it? It's done. This guy's been, he's been exonerated. Like he's been found not guilty. Everything's fine." They won millions of dollars. The family received millions and millions of dollars. Let's kick rocks. Let's move on to the next topic. But the fact that he went out of his way to look into this and realize that there were lies within this, I commend the AG for doing it. I will say that.
I will say this also too, is that like one of my first videos that did really well was the Breonna Taylor video. And in that video, I read the search warrant. I essentially read the search warrant. And it's interesting to see now that the things that were read in that search warrant now are being alleged to be fraudulent, to be fake, to be made up.
Boom.
And that shows you, right? And that shows you that even with the best intentions, to think that this paperwork that's been sworn under penalty of perjury, I'm going to jail if it's wrong, that now they have proof, or allegedly have proof, that was made up.
Ain't that wild though? Think about it, because a lot of people have been relying on those documents. All that paperwork, going, hey, like just like yourself and a bunch of other people.
I do.
And I'm not, of course, I'm not sitting here trying to say anything bad, but I'm just saying,
of course,
it's interesting that it does change people's perspective now when you start to realize that maybe a bunch of this was falsified. Well, now we are realizing that a bunch of it is falsified. Holy crap. So maybe a lot of other people, not you, but other people that have been team police, may be singing a different tune if they actually hear about this new news. Because you wonder what's true, what was falsified, what's actually real in the documents that everyone has seen, right?
Like, yeah, oh yeah, 1000%. See, I'm someone personally who just loves to understand the facts of the matter, the truth of the matter. That's why I always say the facts and the law, the facts and the law. And when the facts change, credibly change, I think you have to be able to change your opinion to now meet the new facts. Like my opinion of this case before was simple. It was, hey, this was happened, this just went wrong. Here was the evidence that was presented. This seems kind of just textbook, especially somebody with law enforcement. I was in an ADA before too. I've written search warrants like this. So as soon as I saw it, I was like, okay, this seems like kind of cut and dry stuff. But now knowing this new information, the information that was relied on to think that this was good, was itself false, was itself manufactured for the purpose to do it. It accomplished its goal, right? Because it was written, it fooled the judge. It fooled the judge.
It's crazy, right?
Right? It fooled the judge. So because we trust people like that.
Or it's deeper. Or this whole thing is deeper than we think. Maybe it's beyond just the apple. Maybe it's in the roots of the actual apple tree. Think about it. What if the judge is in on it? What if the judge like, fine, whatever, blah, blah, blah. What if the judge wasn't fooled?
But I don't know, because reading
that's speculation, but
No, but think about it. If we understand the search warrant itself, because all right, so, and this maybe it's my legal training too that gets me here.
Of course, please.
If we talk about it from that perspective, what's required for a warrant? So you got to say, is it more probabilistic than not that contraband is going to be found? Right? Is it more likely than not? You really are not there. It has to be there, but is it likely? Is it it's a real low standard, and the evidence that was put in the warrant, I think, was good enough to come to that conclusion, because they had pictures of him coming out the apartment. They had, again, this was false, but then they had the postal inspector. They had all this evidence, and they had the other trap houses that did find drugs and all that stuff. So I think if you just look at the warrant, who judges whether that warrant is good or not? It's that judge. And the judge said, okay, based on this that you're giving me, that's good. And today we found out that 3 of those 4 things were lies. And I think that's what destroys this whole narrative now. Because like you said, that warrant was bad. That means even if the place had a ton of cocaine, guess what would have happened? That cocaine would have probably been thrown out, because they would have hopefully found out that warrant was bad, right? And even if they were convicted on that ton of cocaine, it would have been based on a warrant that was illegally obtained.
It's fake. It's all fake. So everything would be thrown away, and then they're like, you're free. JG, you're free. But why? Because paperwork, because of a technicality, which is ridiculous, right?
Yeah.
So, this is pretty wild stuff. But I like I said, I feel like this would change the narrative of a lot of people's opinions around this particular situation. And
but I don't think Tatum's going to. I don't think Tatum's going to change though.
Oh, I don't get
because no matter what, like he still think like he hates the Ahmaud Arbery and Chauvin, like he's whatever the police, he's no matter whatever. But
I mean, period. You know what I mean?
Yeah. But I do think though, if you're reasonable, especially with this case, show me the evidence and you'll change my mind every time. And this is one of those times where I've seen the evidence, I've seen what the government put on,
right?
And if it's correct, then they've changed my opinion on this case.
Yeah, and I mean, and then you, of course, if you look at the facts, I can definitely see your point there for sure. But then when you say, as you just said earlier, 3 out of the 4 are missing, or 3 out of the 4 are falsified, it does. It's a different tune. You go, okay, you got this one thing, but what about these other 3? You know what I mean? That are all what is fake, you know what I mean? So it does bring more of a question of what if, if that makes any sense. You know what I
And
mean?
what's the motivation to fake it too? Maybe they just wanted to hit the place quick again. Maybe what was the motivation for that?
That's exactly what I was going to ask earlier. Thank you so much for popping that back in my brain. What would make somebody want to falsify this so badly? Why would they want to raid this house so badly that they're willing to falsify documents, all this stuff, just to raid this one woman's house? That doesn't make any sense to me. What's the motivation behind that?
Well,
Is there something deeper than this? You see what I'm saying?
You know the history of this, right? Like there were two sets of raids, not just that night, but there was a set of raids before that.
Yes.
You know that, right? So
Yes.
so if everybody knows, there was actually a set of raids before that. And the way it was working is the cops wanted to get to the stash house. But a stash house is where it's like the main center of that it's like the Amazon packaging of drug game.
Right.
And the trap houses are where the drugs are used. That's like your crack house.
Right.
Crack house, that's what the trap house is. So what happens is the cops initially, like maybe a month earlier, raided all those trap houses. And it was like, oh my God, these are just trap houses. And it was on TV, it was covered and everything. So they raided all these trap houses and arrested Marcus Glover, Breonna Taylor's boyfriend, and all that. So then later on, after that happened, Jamarcus Glover and that crew got out, and they went back to those same trap houses and started stuff up again. But then they noticed that his permanent address when he went to jail was Breonna Taylor's house, and that's how they said, okay, that must be the stash house, and they were looking for evidence to kind of conclude that's where it's at, right? We know that's where it's at, because they were instead of trying to see if there's evidence to confirm, if there was evidence to show that was possible, they were kind of confirming their own biases, and I think that's what gave them that bias. Let's just see this. The postal inspector, blah 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 blah, because they already knew what they want. They wanted that to be the place, and even though they knew he didn't even live there, so.
Yeah, it's just so weird, and I get it that maybe that they were like, well, we need to stop this. We need to nip this in the bud as quickly as possible. If this is the stash house, we got to get this thing going. We got to get these drugs off these streets, so on and so forth. But still, faking and falsifying documents doesn't solve the situation. if she walked out arrested and Jamarcus Glover walked out arrested as well, they walked out in cuffs, they would have eventually, or at least now, they would have been released.
Yeah, they'd probably be gone by now.
The attorney general would have been like, you're free to go now. It still would have been a story, but it wouldn't be a story like this. It wouldn't be, hashtag justice for Breonna Taylor. It wouldn't be hashtag Breonna Taylor right now. This woman would still be alive to this day. And but the thing is, still, they did not have full, solid 110% proof, that particular house was actually a stash house. And that's the issue here too. They were just they were shooting from the hip. Literally.
They were shooting for the hip and convinced the judge with allegedly convinced the judge with fake evidence that was that was likely a stash house. That's a no. And in doing so, violated Breonna Taylor's rights, because they got a false warrant. And if the cops are going in with a false warrant, that's a violation of your Fourth Amendment rights, and the fact that she died. So that's the logic, right? Without that warrant, she's still alive.
Yeah, man. This is so heartbreaking.
Yeah,
but also I feel very eye-opening for all of us out here that have been arguing about this, whether on either side of the fence. This does bring in a different narrative that I think is going to change people's minds just a little bit.
Of course.
But
it all depends if they want the truth. Okay.
Yes. No. And that's the thing. Finding out the truth is more important than anything else. Doesn't matter who's right or wrong. It's knowing what's the actual factual truth here. And the fact that these guys lied is bad. And man, I feel like this is deeper. This seeps deeper in the department other than just these four individuals. That's just my personal opinion on it. But, there we go. Laura, thank you so much for becoming a member. I really do appreciate it. Thank you so very, very, very much. All right. But Nate, that is our time. I really do appreciate you coming in and chopping it up with me and talking about all this stuff. You know, this Breonna Taylor thing is crazy. The Brittany Griner thing is crazy, and the AH stuff is always going to be salacious and just ooey gooey with just messiness. But I do appreciate you coming on and chopping it up with me. Please tell everybody about your channel. Let me share this really quick. Y'all need to go over to Nate the Lawyer. His YouTube channel is literally called Nate the Lawyer. Okay. Follow the bouncing ball, Nate the Lawyer. Go over there, hit that subscribe button. The dude is killing it in the game. Okay. He talks a lot about a lot of things that I talk about as well, but obviously he knows more of that legal stuff. All right. He knows that legal ish, if that's what you want to get in your, pipe and smoke it, then definitely go and crush that subscribe button. What do you got coming up soon on your channel so that people can kind of get hip to you?
I got a live stream tomorrow that I do. I'm covering some more Johnny Depp Amber Heard stuff. I'm also going to be covering this the Alex Jones $4 million. Thought the jury would come back with more, but $4 million seems to be it is what it is.
Wait. So he got was he found liable?
Found liable. Well, he was already found liable. The jury came back with an award of $4 million
instead of $150 million.
Yeah.
Well, but 4 million.
but if you think about this, though, if you do think about the lawyers may not even get all the money they put into it back. But if you think about for Alex Jones, that's kind of on, like, because remember Tasha K had to pay $4 million too.
She had to pay like 4 point something. Yeah.
Yeah. So
ain't paid not 1 cent though. Let's keep it real. She ain't spent 1 cent, but we'll see what happens with her on that one. A lot of stories circulating around that.
But essentially that's what I do. And again, I consider myself I'm a legal educator. I used to be a professor at a law school. So that's what I do. I try to essentially take the law and make it easy for anyone to understand. And that's the magic of my channel. Complex legal topics where anybody can understand it.
Bet. And that's what's dope about your channel. You know what I mean? I do complex conversations, complex topics, but I don't have the legalese. You know what I mean? I don't have Esquire at the end of my name. You know what I'm saying? I just talk crazy.
Me neither. Mine says lawyer.
So you're lying? No, I'm just like...
No, you don't. There's actually a distinction between an Esquire and a lawyer. A lawyer is someone who graduated law school, but Esquire is someone who practices. So if you don't have your license, you can't put Esquire. You can only put you're only a lawyer. Yeah, so it's a difference between a lawyer and an attorney.
Interesting. What? I didn't know that. That's good to know. Okay, but you are a lawyer. And I'm
an Esquire. I practice, baby. Yeah. Esquire means I've passed the bar and all that stuff.
What's wrong with you? He practices this shit. I don't get it twisted now. He an Esquire. Okay. All right. He's been knighted in Esquire. But anyway, I appreciate you coming on, my brother. Y'all need to go and follow him with the quickness, okay? Please do that. All right. And if you haven't done it yet over here on this channel, do me a solid, okay? Hit that like button down below. Do that what you need to do. Hit that like button down below. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button, all right? And again, Nate, the lawyer, thank you so much for being on, my brother. I appreciate you. You've been amazing. It's been a great conversation. Much love to you, man. Anyway, guys, I appreciate all y'all for being on. Seriously, you guys have been incredible. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button over on his channel. Show some love to the man, the myth, the legend, the Esquire, Nate the lawyer. Okay, I appreciate you guys, and I'll be talking to you guys very soon. Okay, be good to yourselves. Be good to one another, and I'll see you guys very, very soon. This is the Pascal Show. Bye.